Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to Relationship Rhetoric. I'm your host, unapologetically Angela, and Terrance and I were just pretty much having our interview before we went live. So there's so much information that I'm so excited about him sharing, not just about money, just about taking risk and recreating yourself and evolving. And so we're just gonna jump right into it, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show, Terrance Wilson.
Peace, peace. Welcome. Thank you for having me. I am honored to be here. I'm ready.
Okay. So let's start back where we were. In case you all didn't know, Terrance and his beautiful wife moved to LA. How long has this been?
This will be 5 years for me. June, so July 2nd will be
Okay.
5 years for me.
Okay. Wow.
And she
Wow.
was out here a year and a half before I moved.
Okay. 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 So let's talk about, you were telling me that you originally ended up in Memphis as a result of Hurricane
Her-
Katrina.
That's
Okay.
right. That's right. That's right. So I was born and raised in New Orleans, Louisiana. My family was there since the 60s. There was a big hurricane like in 65. Well, for Hurricane Katrina, that was the first time my family ever evacuated.
Oh, wow.
We left the day before and we went to relatives in Macomb, Mississippi. After being there about 2 weeks, we hearing all of the stories about the city and thinking that we would never be able to go back. Some friends of the family were actually they were stuck in South Haven.
Mm.
Um, and they told us how nice it was and how many of the amenities that you would need it's a small city with most of the amenities of a big city, and for whatever else is not there, right across the state line is Memphis. And we gave it a try, and at the time my grandmother, she was in her 80s, I actually forgot, and all all she needed was a church and a doctor. And she found a doctor that she liked, and the doctor told her about a church, and she fell in love with it. And I was with my mother and my grandmother, and I just, long as they were all right, I was all right. So I just said, hey, I'm gonna make a new life here. So I was intentional about making a life in Memphis, and I
Mhm.
did. And uh, a lot of the stuff that I wanted to do, I thought about doing. I had that wake up call that my family, we evacuated at the right time. No one. Sorry, making sure my power outlet is in. All right. Uh, I was intentional about making a new life, and I hit the pavement, and I met the right people because I was intentional about it. And in that process, one of those right was my now wife, and I was there 13 years, and she's an actress and filmmaker. So I knew that eventually, she told me early on about her plans to move to LA. So I understood that. I had already moving to Memphis. That seemed like a big move for me.
Mhm.
So I really didn't see myself moving anywhere else because I was really making some moves in Memphis. But after a while, I said, no, I need to go out there and get my woman. And I came out here, and I was intentional about making it happen. I was intentional about building a life with her, even though I didn't have a full plan on what I would do once I got here. And that actually made it even better. So we were able to put our heads together, put our resources together, and, you know, just make it happen.
That is so exciting. I love everything about that. So tell me about, let me ask this question. What you're doing in LA, was that the same thing you were putting the foundation together for here in Memphis?
So the foundation of what I did in Memphis actually started my business. So
Okay.
I was involved. I had my hands on a lot of stuff in Memphis. A lot of community service, feeding the homeless for 8 years every other Sunday. Um, you went dark. Was that intentional, Angela? Angela, you went dark and you froze. Well, I'll keep talking until you come back, I guess. One of the organizations that I was a part of between 2015 and 2018 was a financial literacy organization. We did hosted wealth building workshops every Saturday actually, and my part in it was teaching credit. Wait a minute, Angela. Wait, what? I'll keep talking. I think we lost Angela. One of the my positions, my job was to teach credit, and I helped a lot of people with repairing their own credit. So once I moved to LA, I'm trying to figure out what I would do. Dr. and my wife, now she's my wife at the time, my girlfriend, suggested that I do credit repair. Wait a minute. Let's wait. Let me try to see if Angela is okay. Let's see if I can
Hey y'all. If you are here with me in Memphis, we had a power outage. The weather is ridiculous and it just swept through here. 15 minutes of rain and the whole city shut down. So forgive me. Yeah, I'm back. Literally the whole block went dark and then came back up. So thank
Wow.
you. It's Memphis. It's Memphis. That's all
That's what I forgot. That's what I missed. I mean,
you miss it?
maybe rephrase that. That's what I don't miss.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
What I miss is the food, but I don't miss that.
Oh, okay. So let's go back to the foundation of the things that you were in Memphis.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. So while in Memphis, around 2010, it took me from '05 to 2010 to really find my tribe, should I say.
Mm-hmm.
So I found my passion for community service. I hooked up with Brothers Keeper, Concerned Citizens of Memphis, and we started feeding the homeless, starting providing meals and other resources to our homeless family in Memphis. And it's something, after that first day, I really fell in love with it. I really love the idea of uh, doing something for those who, without uh, expecting a return,
Mm-hmm.
just giving back to someone else, and just finding so many others that were passionate about it, and I loved it. So for 8 years, that was like the highlight of my weekends. Every other Sunday, going out for that. Um, then I connected with two organizations. One that provided workshops every week for Black business owners, and another one that taught financial literacy workshops. And between the both, I became a director in both. Whereas in one, I was a membership director, and the other, I was a director over the credit education. So every week, my portion of the workshop will be on how to repair your credit, how to boost your scores. And I already, before moving, since about the age of 14 to 15, I had an interest in finance. And it started because my mother didn't want to buy me a pair of Jordans, and my daddy laughed at me. So I just wanted to figure out how can I get them myself.
Uh-huh.
And that was a blessing. The blessing in that, in disguise of that, was she taught me how to shop on clearance. So I was still able to satisfy my my desire to go to school fresh,
Uh-huh.
but I started really looking into, like, how can I make money? How can I make enough money to buy what I want to make?
Okay.
So there's a
Okay.
whole lot in that, but fast forwarding, uh, working with those two organizations, the skills that I acquired, in addition to what I was already studying on my own, once I moved to LA, I was trying to figure out what will I do, because it's so much larger than Memphis. Some things just wouldn't make sense. Like if we live in one part of the city, Inglewood, and if I had a job almost an hour away, which is possible, just that commute is crazy. So Deara at the time, she said, well, you know how to fix credit. You know about credit. You can start a business helping people with their credit. And in the meantime, you can do rideshare. And that sounded crazy in itself because I was afraid of the idea of even driving out here.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the best thing as well, in that it allowed me to, one, learn my way around the city,
Mm-hmm.
to meet different types of people. So to not be discouraged by meeting the a-holes that I ran into, just knowing that there are different types of people here, just as everywhere. And also that idea of showing me that um, I was able to dip my foot into entrepreneurship. I was able to get my feet wet in like the best place, somewhere where the cost of living was so much higher than Memphis. Um, and to see how, okay, I can make a certain amount of money doing this. I could schedule my hours, you know, And then I could take the time to go back. I can make my calls. I could do my marketing, come back, do this. If De'Ara wanted me to run some errands, I could pause, run those errands, do that. If she wanted to meet for lunch or something, do that. So did that, and I gave about 2 years to rideshare. Learn the city to the point of where it's most places I can go without GPS. But the business really took off prior to the pandemic.
Okay.
And so when the pandemic hit, De'Ara, she had a part-time job, and her job laid her off. She was able to come on, and she was able to hire me as her main client. Her life coach asked her some questions and basically said, based on your business, because she was doing video marketing for business owners, and said, based on your business and his business, which one has potential to make the most money in the shortest period of time? And she said his. So she said, her life coach suggested, why don't you make him your main client, help him grow his business, and then he can help finance your projects.
Oh, wow.
And that was a match made in heaven. And I'm sorry, let me back up. I started doing credit repair, and someone on Facebook reached out to me, someone I had been Facebook friends with for years, and they introduced me to the loan brokering business. Basically said, hey, you're helping these people get their credit together. Hey, if you send them to me and they get a loan, I can give you this percentage.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but sure. Just for clarity, what is credit repair?
Sure. So showing individuals how to use the law, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, to assess and challenge the negative items that are on your credit report. By law, if there's a negative mark on your credit report, it's by law can stay on there for 7 years. If it's a bankruptcy, for 10 years. But there are some ways that creditors report your information to the 3 credit bureaus, wherein because of the inaccuracies, the discrepancies of how it's reported, it can be challenged using the law.
Okay.
And that's something that I learned. And so I was able to help a lot of people improve their credit so that they can do things they wanted to, from buying cars to getting houses. But then I learned how to help people get loans as well. Okay. Business loans and loans to invest in real estate.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And eventually, because of the profit that came in with the loans and the amount of work, I actually removed myself from the credit repair side because it was too much work for what was available. And we just created a course where individuals can go in, they can learn it themselves, and whatever coaching or counseling that they need, I can give them that.
Okay.
But to focus on the bigger goal of entering into partnerships with different banks based on the products that they have, introducing them to clients who meet the qualifications so that they can get funded, and I get a commission from it.
Okay, so let me ask you this. You said entering into relationships with banks. And what do you mean products as far as a bank? What products would a bank offer me?
Sure. So most banks have a loan product. Most banks outside of checking and savings accounts, they have retirement, but they have loan products for business owners, mainly business owners.
Okay.
And so if they have a product, and that could be any bank or any credit union. So let's say if Wells Fargo has a specific product out of maybe 100 products that a business owner, let's say like you, will qualify for, let's say for your show.
Okay.
Based on the criteria that they have for that product, they'll let me know from A to Z what they're looking for. So what I'll do is I talk to you about the product, and then I'll let you know what they're looking for from A to Z. And if you have all of those letters in place, I'll go ahead and submit you for funding. If there's something missing, I can actually consult with you and let you know, okay, I can let you know right now this will not work. But if you do this, this, and this in a month, 3 months, blah, 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 whatever, we can actually go back and you'll have everything in place. and we can get you funded. And that's been very lucrative, very, very lucrative.
Wow. Okay. And so hence the name Funding Clinic?
That's it. That's it.
Okay.
So the idea behind it, you know how they have like basketball clinics and things like
Yeah.
that. I actually
Yeah.
had an idea. So the name of the company, i- the uh, the parent company is Terrance Wilson Financial,
Okay.
and I had an idea of create having events in the community wherein we have entrepreneurs and investors, and I basically, for however many hours, we just go through, this is what's needed to apply for funding. These are the type of products that are available for business owners. And it's not that everyone will qualify, but if you meet this criteria, you can qualify. And if you don't, this is all you need to do. And from that, my wife, well, at the time she wasn't my wife, but my wife at the time, Deara, she just said, I like that name. She said, you need to go with that. And we just made that
Okay.
the name of the company.
Okay. I love it. I love it. One of the questions that was posed to me, entrepreneurs, people, business owners that are coming to get these loans, how do they prepare for retirement?
That's a great question. So there are loan products for self-employed.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, there are retirement products for those who are self-employed.
Okay.
So just like you have a 401k and these other loan IRAs and whatnot with your employer, there are the companies, financial institutions are able to set up one for someone that's self-employed.
Okay. And so the self-employed individual just pay into this directly to the bank.
That's correct.
Mm.
That's correct.
Mm.
That's correct.
Okay.
And one of the products is like a SEP IRA, so an IRA for the self-employed.
Okay.
And because you're funding it and you're not receiving a match from an employer, you're able to make a larger contribution to it. But yes.
Okay. Okay. I have heard you mention the term, and it's something that I was slightly afraid of and still don't know much about, Bitcoin.
Yes.
Give
Perfect.
me some information about this and why we shouldn't be afraid of it, and how could we put our toe in it without being like, oh my God.
Perfect. So I learned about Bitcoin in 2014. It was actually April of 2014 while in Memphis. And that's when I started acquiring Bitcoin. So go back in a little history lesson. Do you remember after the '08 crash?
Mm-hmm.
The government, they bailed out banks, but people lost their houses and blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the idea concept of Bitcoin was actually introduced to the world during that time.
Okay.
So it's a digital currency that's based on peer-to-peer relationships. So basically, the way it's supposed to be is I give you Bitcoin, you give me Bitcoin if you need something. And the idea is that no government or central bank can regulate those transactions. And so, like, for instance, if I want to send some money to China, if I send some money to China right now, I can get in trouble. Or if I send some money to Korea, somebody in Korea, I can get in trouble. Because there are sanctions on, whatever. But with Bitcoin, the transactions or how should I put it? They're not monitored, or should I say, they're not going through a government entity. And it's almost like a bailout for people.
Okay. But it is legal.
It is legal. It is legal. And what I usually tell people, and I can recommend some books to read about it or whatnot, but with any investment, I say invest an amount that you can afford to lose. So, living in Memphis, a lot of us, you should go to Tunica or West Memphis or whatnot. And, we already knew, we had an idea, hey, I'm going to go here. If I put this amount in the slot machine or whatnot and I lose it, hey, I'm fine. I'm all right.
Right.
Well, the same with it.
Okay.
But the difference is we're approaching 8 billion people on the planet. But out of the 8 billion people, it's less than 2 billion that actually have access to the banking resources or products that we're used to.
Okay.
So if you think of someone, but more people have access to cell phones.
Mm.
So if you think about it, someone who lives in a village in, let's say, an African country, it may possibly, it may take them, 100 miles to get to a bank in that country. You've just I just thought, well, with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, Bitcoin created a whole new like economic ecosystem wherein someone with their phone, they can download an app, and someone in another country can I could send $5 to someone in, let's say, Kenya, and that $5 may have a buying power of $50 to $500 depending on where they're at, and there's no need for it to be monitored, approved, or regulated by the United States government or that government. Now, the caveat, there are people that they're making laws. So laws are being created around it.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea of Bitcoin and then cryptocurrency itself is that there's a legacy financial system that basically excludes the majority of the world's population. So the idea is that everyone should have access to the same tools and products that the rich and wealthy have access to. And on the cryptocurrency side, a lot of those products are affordable to the regular person. And of course, regular or affordable is subjective, but there are products wherein you can actually buy a penny's worth of a cryptocurrency, and it will have a value. Whereas on the dollar side, because of the cost of transactions, it wouldn't be financially feasible.
Mm. Okay. Okay. So do you provide guidance or counseling if someone is interested in purchasing either or, just trying to see how it works?
Yes. So what my wife and I did, we actually created a nonprofit organization, Community Against Poverty. And because financial literacy is my passion, I knew that moving here, I had to focus on the business. I didn't have time to a lot of stuff, but as the business grew, I realized, okay, what I can do is we create a nonprofit, and then through that nonprofit, we can help with those resources. So through that, I help get access to ebooks and courses and apps, share about different apps where you can get stock and crypto, start investing in real estate, and show how anyone with as little as $10, how you can invest in all of the 3 asset classes that I just mentioned.
Oh, wow.
And just showing how it's not about getting rich quick, or it's more so about developing a habit, learning about what it is that you're investing, so that as your finances grow, your experience or your education improves, that then you're in a position to make larger moves, and you can see the bigger picture of, hey, like I got into Bitcoin when it was $240. The all-time high of Bitcoin was $60,000.
Wow.
Now, I've learned a whole lot since then. And the most important thing that I learned was that education is extremely important.
Mm-hmm.
Also, having access to paying or joining groups, and seeking out mentors and coaches. Because as the economy is changing, as the world economy is changing, there are a lot of things that are happening. And sometimes you need access to people who read what you're not reading.
Right.
The newspapers and the financial reports that are being released by different countries, and to see what's the climate of the world, and why you should be buying certain things, or why you should be saving money using certain assets, because to shield yourself for what may come.
Okay. Okay. So I got 2 more questions. So aside from retirement for us working people, do you suggest, or what would you suggest would be something else that we could be using? I guess we really just talked about that. What other things should we be investing in just to provide that cushion? Because if I'm not mistaken, retirement is kind of like them juggling with our money in the stock market. Is that correct?
That
Okay.
is absolutely correct.
Okay. Okay.
Absolutely correct. The most important investment that I would say one make is in education. It's either say, hey, what's the hot stock tip or cryptocurrency tip, or any other tip, but you need to learn how to manage your money. You have, whoever administers your retirement plan, they're going to get paid regardless of what happens in the market.
Mm.
And you need to position yourself so that you can do the same.
Okay.
My wife and I, we just had our estate plan established. So that's a trust, will, and whatnot. And there's so much that is not taught in our community. And I want to help getting this education out about the need for having trust and wills and the right type of insurance policies, and how different insurance policies can be used to actually build wealth, or how there are terms that are thrown around in our community, but there are really no blueprints on how to follow it. So you may hear somebody say, we need to build generational wealth. Let's buy back the block. But there are no real instructions on how to do it, or saying, don't sell grandmother's house. Well, there are so many caveats. I know, being that I started buying real estate in Memphis in 06 before the 08 crash, I know why a lot of people are selling their grandmother's house. A lot of people can't handle the taxes. A lot of people can't deal with having bad tenants. A lot of people have, if it's a family house, maybe having issues with their siblings, and they're like, I'd rather just get rid of it. The generational wealth, a lot of us don't even realize where that comes from. During let's say over 100 years ago, there was Cornelius Vanderbilt and there was John D. Rockefeller. Cornelius Vanderbilt was so wealthy that he had more money than the U.S. Treasury. John D. Rockefeller was building his wealth, but he didn't have as much wealth as Cornelius Vanderbilt. What John D. Rockefeller did, he learned about, came up with a strategy, or learned how to use insurance to build wealth. Well, 50 years after Cornelius Vanderbilt died, the wealth of the Vanderbilt fortune was gone. They lost. They basically spent, the only thing that they have to their name is the Vanderbilt College, just that knowing that they're part of that family that started Vanderbilt College. Well, the Rockefeller family, or the Rockefeller fortune, is still around today, taking care of up to 200 families and contributing to a bunch of foundations and nonprofits around the world.
Wow.
So the term generational wealth, it came from wealthy people realizing and understanding that most wealthy people, if an average person builds wealth, they're going to do something to build something, to leave something for their children. Well, historically, what has happened is by the third generation, that wealth is lost, because that those grandchildren don't understand the sacrifices that the grandfather made, and that grandfather want to build a better life for their children, and that son want to have a better life for the grandchildren, but not understanding that education is a big part of that. So in our community, we need to be taught these stories and these things, and of how wealth is not in flashy cars and these physical things that we could see. It's more so about, it's about, I'll say the most important is our health and our love for each other, and having loved ones around you, but then being able to leave something that lasts, that's sustainable and tangible.
Okay.
I know I can talk about this stuff.
No, I love it. I love it. Again, because I'm 47 now, and the thing that is going over in my head now is I want to make sure that I create this generational wealth for my children, but I don't want them to get a lump sum when I transition and just blow it. How can you take what I've taught you by leaving you something to create more? So
perfect. So I have a perfect so with establishing a trust,
okay,
you hear about trust fund. Well, you can have a trust fund.
Okay.
And it could have specific instructions within it of how, all right, you want your son, your daughter, or when they reach a certain age, you want them to meet these certain milestones. And if they don't, you say, well, you're not going to get all of it, or you're going to, a portion of it that's going to go to charity if you don't do it. So to give an example, Paris Hilton, she's the heir to the Hilton fortune. She's a billionaire. We've seen her act the fool in public. But the thing is, the way that the state is established, even though she's the heir to $1 billion fortune, she will never be in a position to where she can waste that $1 billion. She can go out and be a fool and do whatever she wants to, but there's someone who manages that estate, a trustee. Now, if she has an idea for a business, she can call that person and say, hey, I had this idea. And what they'll do is they'll say, okay, all right, Miss Hilton, so come in tomorrow by noon and I have a team of people to work with you. So they'll get the best experts and have them around and, okay, this is her idea. Bring it to fruition. You like it. All right, everybody agree. All right, we're going to go ahead and put out a cologne or a purse, a clothing line, and they'll put it in place. But it's set up to where she has to almost go get an allowance.
I like it. And you know what that makes me think about? We hear about it all the time on a lot of these comedy sitcoms where, okay, here's a trust that was left for you, but you have to get married first and you have to this, that, and the other. So that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, so we can do those things. We can do those things, or have it set up to where as if in the unfortunate event that a child develops a drug problem or something like that. Whereas, hey, the only way you're gonna have to go through rehab, and then even after rehab, you have to go through some type of program to ensure that, hey, you're ready for this. And then you have specific requirements. It's your job to make sure that you build, not just take away, but you have to build upon this so that the next generation has something.
Okay. I'll be signing up for a class. Just know this, because I can't ask all my questions. I'm taking notes. Okay. Last question, because this is a relationship show.
Yeah.
And let me ask you, when did you and Yara talk about money?
So early, actually before, so we knew each other before we started dating.
Okay.
We ran around in the same circles. I don't know if I ever told you. I don't know if we told on our interview that we had. I heard her being interviewed on Thaddeus Matthews' show. And eventually on Facebook, I saw that we were friends and blah, blah, blah. So we eventually ended up in the same circles. But we started talking about money first because I found out that she was in real estate and I was in real estate. But I had no one in my peer group to talk about it. You know, you get around people and everybody say, yeah, I want to do this. I want to do this. But when it sounds good, but when it's like, all right, well, we're going to go look at these houses and the stuff that's dirty and boring, a lot of people will fall off. So I didn't have anyone to talk about. So we'll be at parties and I go and start talking to her about real estate. She said she wanted to talk about other things, but really when she was able to realize that, you know, at the time I was flirting a lot and blah, 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 but realizing that I had a serious side, that there were things that I was passionate about, and finance and money was one. And I just yearned to have someone that I can have those conversations about it with. And so early on in our relationship, we would have money talks about money and our goals and our dreams. And she was able to see those dreams actualize and be a part of it.
Oh, how beautiful is that? I love y'all, man. I really, really do.
Yeah, we love you. We love you.
Okay, so if you would, how can people find you if they're interested in the classes? Now, even though you're in LA, do you do virtual?
Yeah. So I have a group on Facebook called the Money Tribe, or it's #Money Tribe.
Okay.
And in there, I share a lot of resources, a lot of information. I come across a book, a course, or something that I think is of value, and I'll share it. And pretty soon I'll be interviewing individuals, and I'll actually be in Memphis. We'll actually be in Memphis, I think, in July. So when that, I'll let you know that date, and we'll set something up.
Okay, please.
Um, because it's something I'm passionate about. I've I've read so many books since the age of 14. I used to cut school to go to those get rich quick seminars that I see on late night television. Um, and there's so much that I've come across, and out of the BS, I found so much that's real and tangible,
Okay.
and that it doesn't require us to be, millionaires to start. That on a regular salary, the money that we would spend on fast food or whatever else, that a portion of that can actually go towards investing, and with the right, you know, just keeping a system in place and being consistent, we can actually build wealth and leave it to our families and build our communities.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna hold you to that because our neighborhoods are changing. There are apartment buildings and people are being asked to move and sell their homes. And so we need to get prepared. We need
Yeah,
it. So
yeah.
let's keep in touch. Okay.
I'm down. Call me to that. And
Okay.
again, the group Money Tribe,
Okay.
and
Join that.
come through.
Okay.
And I have a lot that's in line, a lot coming out, but so that we can get this information out, so that we can. I live in an area where, in LA, those houses in those neighborhoods where you see those gangs and you see those music videos. Now those houses are $500,000 or more.
See? Wow.
No one out here, unless they're on some type of, they were grandfathered in. I forgot what they call it, rent control.
Mm-hmm.
No one out here is paying less than 2,000 a month for rent. Like if you move out here right now to find a place, you're paying 2,000 or more for rent, and that's starting off. And of course, you might see some stuff in those neighborhoods.
Oh God. Okay. Okay. Terrance, thank you so much. Thank you so much. This meant a lot to me because again, it's something that I really need to start thinking about at this point in my life. And I trust you. I do.
Hey, I am so honored. It was a pleasure. This is something I'm passionate about. So we're going to stay in touch.
Okay.
And we're going to make sure I'll let you know when we'll be in town, or when we come into town, and we'll set something up, and I'm ready.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Thank you. Enjoy. What time is it there?
It is 5:45
p.m.
Yeah, 5:45 p.m. So okay. I'm gonna go take my dog for a walk, and hopefully if De'Ara wants to do something, we may go to the beach or something and just chill.
Man, I love it. I love it. Well, take care. Hug her for me. And I can't wait to see y'all.
Peace and love. Thank you so much.
Peace and love. Peace and love. Oh, I love that, guys. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me. That's important. That's important in relationships or as individuals. We cannot be afraid of money. We cannot be afraid to change because money and how we handle our money is changing. I did spend some time in Egypt, and being able to get back and forth to a bank and get my money and get my American money was such a chore. It was a very difficult process because, like he said, it was so controlled. And sometimes the ATMs didn't work. Sometimes the banks wouldn't give you the money because they were trying to hold on to this and hold on to that. So please, guys, if you are listening, join the Money Tribe just to get the information, just to be up on. I don't even like the news. I don't care to listen to the stock market and things of that nature. But again, I want to be prepared and I don't want to be left in the dark. So even if I can give up my going out to eat money and use that just to play around with, to see and find a trusted financial advisor, such as Terrance, to help walk me through the process, just take the leap. I love their relationship. I love the taking of the risk and them supporting each other and growing this business to help people in general. And in this instance, to me, it's about a economic situation and us supporting each other so that we can have the knowledge that we need so we're not caught off guard. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for your faithfulness. And I hope to see you again next Thursday. Peace, love, and financial well-being. Talk to you soon.